Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I have Michael Breus on the line, and he's founder of The Sleep Doctor, and he's also a sleep doctor, go figure, and we're going to talk about his work. We're going to talk about some of what he's up to. He's did a keynote over at the Milken Global Conference right before Deepak Chopra came up, and this particular interview will be part of our Milken Global Conference, Milken Institute Global Conference 2025 series, where we bring together some of the top thought leaders that attended the conference. And so first off, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. You know, I've been fortunate enough to speak at Milken. This is my third or fourth year, and I always have such a great time. First of all, It's crazy because I always want to go and see, half the people that are speaking when I'm speaking. That always seems to happen because there's always such an amazing portfolio of people. But I just wanted to, say to all of those out there who got a chance to attend Milken or who are associated with Milken, it's been wonderful to be a part of that crowd.
Yeah. Now, you've been multiple times, as you said. Now, for us as a media outlet, we've covered it now. I think this is our fourth year, one of the two. I might be slipping my memory here. But that being said, we've accumulated quite a few interviews and catalog from the conference. And I'm biased. To me, it's like my Super Bowl every year of going to, and it's in our backyard in Beverly Hills. And it's like, all the thought leaders, all the newest and everything always comes to me, so to speak, during that year or during that particular time. And it's like, it's brain candy, as another guest mentioned to me. What keeps you coming back, and why is this such a special? Obviously, you go to many conferences, I'm guessing, and in your work, and showing your work. What keeps you coming back, and why do you feel it's so special?
So the thing about Milken that I like is it's a business conference, and I'm a sleep doctor, right? And they want me to come. Like, that just shows the innovative thinking that's going on there. What I like so much about Milken is that it's not just about business, it's about your life and your lifestyle. And let's be fair, they recognized a long time ago, I was very fortunate, I got a chance to meet Michael Milken and speak with him directly, and he gets it. Like, everything you do better with a good night's sleep. And I think Milken is one of the few conferences, business-only conferences, that has been able to recognize that. And it's just, again, it's been a thrill to be able to work with them.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, it's just a lot of fun too. Like the programming, the pavilion, it's on and on. The events afterwards, oh my gosh, it's fun. We threw a couple of events at our company and a reception and some other things. It was just a lot of fun, meeting people from all around the world. So great stuff there. Let's spend some time getting into what you're doing over at your company, The Sleep Doctor. So first off, our Sleep Doctor, maybe tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So at Sleep Doctor, or actually it's sleepdoctor.com or thesleepdoctor.com, we're a website that is really about content, about clinical and clinically relevant content. And so all of the content that we produce, obviously it has to do with sleep and sleep disorders. So what's nice is you can go there and you can learn about sleep if you have questions about sleep, or you can actually learn about diagnosable disorders. Also, we actually do, believe it or not, reviews of products. So we do mattress reviews, pillow reviews, sheet reviews. So we actually run all this stuff through fairly rigorous scientific testing. The way I tell people is if you thought like if WebMD met Consumer Reports and all they talked about was sleep, that would be the Sleep Doctor.
What trends in sleep are you following? Interesting that you do product reviews. I think that's really cool. What kind of trends or tech or what are you following? What's interesting in your world?
It's such a great question, and thank you for asking it. So here's what I'll tell you. So since COVID, we've basically had a revolution in the sleep medicine world. So it used to be that it's crazy, dude. It used to be that if you wanted to go, let's say you met with your doctor and they said, hey, you're snoring, I think you might have sleep apnea. We need to do a sleep study on you. First of all, it takes 3 to 5 weeks just to get in because the laboratories only have 4 to 6 beds. I mean, imagine, trying to get a hotel room at a hotel that only has 4 beds a night, right? Not so easy to do. So first of all, there's a big delay. Then second of all, you have to go in and then we would glue 27 electrodes all over your head. We put these 2 belts across your chest. There'd be video cameras on you. There'd be a strange person.
That doesn't sound like a comfortable sleep, first of all.
Right? Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So here's what's so fascinating is since COVID, all of that has changed because nobody wanted to go into a laboratory and sleep in the same bed as anybody else, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
So what they've done is everything is now portable. So one of the great advancements that we've got going on over at Sleep Doctor is if you go to the website and you go on there, if you go to sleepdoctor.com/Dr. Mike, you can actually get a sleep test done for you. Listen to this, dude. This is crazy. And so you click the button and then you get on a calendar and then you do a teledoc medicine appointment with one of our doctors, which is actually great because you don't have to get up and go all the way across town and park and deal with literally everything is done via Zoom. If they decide that you need a sleep study, they push a button. The study is mailed to your home. So then you receive it in the mail. You open up the box. It's either a ring or a wristband that you put on. You push the green light that says go. You go to sleep. You wake up. You push the red light that says stop. The information jumps over to your phone via Bluetooth, goes up into the cloud. You are then meeting 24 hours later with the same doctor that you met with before, who now has your study results and can give you your results within 72 hours. Dude, what used to take 6 weeks to do, we can do in like 6 days. It's unbelievable.
Wow. And what has this meant for the patients? Like, give me some numbers. Like, how many people have had this done? Like, what kind of, like, give me some metrics here. Because, like, it's just, helping people. Because what I do know is I think my superpower is I can sleep. So I can fall asleep.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't know. And I'm not bragging for anybody else that clicked on this and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's bragging because he can sleep. We can't. That's why we clicked on it. And that's why we're listening to this. I don't mean any disrespect, but I can sleep I can sleep anywhere. So anyway, my point being is that
Are you sure you don't have narcolepsy?
If I do, it's a blessing because when I need to shut it off, I at least have access to the switch. So I'm good.
Gotcha, brother.
But that being said, I do have friends and some family that have suffered, and I know that can be debilitating, especially over time, because it kind of, not claiming that I'm the expert, you can obviously elaborate on this, but I do know from my experience on at least third party that, like, it compounds over time, like, and you may not even notice it. You may think that feeling that you have is normal, and what I found is that you find new normals of low, and it really is just like this cycle.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it.
Can you tell me some of the impact this has had?
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the numbers. So how many people out there probably need a sleep study? Do we think that have, for example, sleep apnea? Well, believe it or not, for men, we're looking at somewhere between 8 and 12%. That's literally like 1 in 6 guys.
That's a lot. So you might be walking around not knowing it and just thinking that drain feeling that they feel is normal.
Exactly. And by the way, this is only $200, and if $200 is budgetarily difficult, which by the way it can be, it's usually covered by insurance.
Wow.
So that's the best part is like there's none of this, I'm doing this weird test that nobody's heard about. Every doctor in the country knows what a sleep study is. Now, many of them don't know that it's in this, abbreviated format that can now be sent to your home, but it's absolutely possible. Now, what can we diagnose? Well, we can diagnose sleep apnea, several different kinds of sleep apnea, several other sleep disorders, in fact. Here's what's also good is for those of people who don't sleep well, right? So you were just commenting about how there are people out there who have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. If they already have a hard time falling asleep, can you imagine how terrible it would be if they came into my lab and I had to glue 27 electrodes to them?
What is that called? White coat syndrome, or I don't know what it's called. What is that called?
No.
Is that any?
Well, when people get anxious and they're in the doctor's office, it's called white coat hypertension, which means your blood pressure raises when somebody with a white coat enters into the room. Now, here, what we're talking about is just uncomfortable situation. And so, again, better to test your sleep in your home environment where we know what all of the things are and people sleep better. So once again, if we're looking
at a better benchmark, right? Because if you're sleeping in your bed, you're sleeping in your bed. It's your benchmark of wherever you're at at this moment. That's great.
That's exactly how you want to think about it. Totally. Exactly how you want to think about it. So when we look at this, then we start to look at insomnia. How many people out there have insomnia? At any given moment, 10% of the population has chronic insomnia, but 1 in 3 people, 1 in 3 have got difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. So these numbers are tremendous, tremendous numbers. Now, the real question becomes, how do I get solid information so I can get myself diagnosed and get myself treated. That's why we created sleepdoctor.com. It's basically for people to go, I review most of the information myself. We have a board of doctors who have got other specialties within sleep, like pediatric sleep specialists or neurology sleep specialists. I happen to be a psychology sleep specialist. So my area of specialty within sleep has to do with mental health, like anxiety and depression and things of that nature. So the goal is for people to come to the site and be able to find products, information, and services that they know they can trust that are actually, doing what it says they're going to do, and all based in real science.
Take me back in time here. When you were, picking
Sure.
a specialty, when you were thinking about like what's next, how'd you land on sleep?
So it was so serendipitous. I had never even dreamed I was going to go into sleep. I'll tell you.
Don't tell me you couldn't fall asleep when you went down this rabbit. That's too movie-like.
No.
Give me the real story.
No. I'm not one of those guys. People always ask that. They're like, how did you become a sleep doctor? Did you have a sleep problem? Yeah. No, I did not have a sleep problem. Here's what happened. I was at the University of Georgia, and I was studying sports psychology. And the best internship program so once you finish your PhD, you then spend a year in like a residency internship program, similar to what an MD does, in order to practice what you've been learning for the past 4 years. So I wanted to go to this special program for sports psychology, but it turned out that it was full on the sports psychology side, but they had an opening in a sleep division. And so I figured if I got into the sleep division, I would just transfer once I got there. Because if you're not going to let me in through the front door, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be in your program. It just means that you haven't figured out yet that I'm going to be in your program. So I signed myself up as a sleep guy. First day I got there, raised my hand. I said, hey, how do I transfer? They said, we have a feeling you might want to do this. You have to stay for the first 6 months in sleep, and then from there you can go to any other part of the program. I said, how tough could this be? So I started in sleep. Adam, by the third day, I absolutely fell in love with clinical sleep medicine, and I knew I was never going to change my path. Dude, I help people like this. It's unbelievable how quickly, when you can identify a sleep disorder and get somebody a medication, a treatment protocol, talk therapy, whatever it happens to be, here's the bottom line. When you change somebody's sleep, you change their life. And that's just cool. And so that's why I became a sleep doctor.
Wow, what a story. And I mean, I think it's something that I'm going to paraphrase this and I'm going to mess it up, but it was something like in the past, like entrepreneurs and, really high performers, we used to have this thought process around the less sleep, the better. It was almost like a macho thing, right? I sleep 5 hours, I sleep 4 hours. I don't need this or that. And now it's become the ultimate luxury. It's like if you can get 8 hours or plus, like people, I'd love to hear people bragging about that because, you can be high performing, you can earn lots of money, you can do other things. But if you're not sleeping, if your quality of living is terrible, if your health is terrible, now it's basically saying that you're inefficient, that you got to, that you're trading your life for money, but that trade-off isn't what it was once thought to be. It's like, thinking about AI, thinking about technology, thinking about other ways to be, as productive as possible, but in less hours. It's basically now almost a bragging right of like how many hours you sleep. So it's kind of like, I'm like, man, if I'm following your career, you're on the right side of the bed, Michael, pun intended. I was waiting for this.
Absolutely, brother.
I tried.
Absolutely.
It was a stretch.
No, I mean, I thought it was good. I think it landed well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, sleep turns out to be a big deal. And, I tell people all the time, look, you can't fool Mother Nature, okay? Your body needs a certain amount of sleep, depending upon your age, depending upon your gender, depending upon your stress level, period, full stop. It might change over time, but you still need to get it. And there is no substitute for sleep. Caffeine is not a substitute for sleep. At the end of the day, if you want to work well, you want to be successful, and you want to perform, right, sleep is really kind of where it's at. I actually heard Gary Vaynerchuk, if you follow him. Oh, yeah. And one of the things he said the new success is 7 hours of sleep. Yeah. That's the new success. I'm like, right on, brother.
And what I like about his content too is he's usually ahead of the trend. Like if you had asked him that question 10 years ago, that is not what he would have necessarily said. But he's when he learns something new, he shares it, and I like that. He's super authentic in his journey. So I'm a big fan of what he's doing.
Yeah, I am as well.
Speaking of caffeine, you're going to laugh at this, Michael. Speaking of caffeine, I can't let this one go because you mentioned caffeine isn't so, and I got to give him a shout out because it's hilarious. Guess who I'm interviewing next? Now you'll never guess. So I'll just tell you. The gentleman's name is Leonard Lightfoot.
George Schultz?
No, Leonard Lightfoot, and you said caffeine. So his name is Leonard Lightfoot, and he's the CFO of Black Coffee Company, and he's the one that sponsored his coffee at the Milken Global Conference. So I got to tell him about
That's awesome.
That's the universe. Come on, partnership. Sleeping in the coffee is going to happen.
Funny.
Isn't that funny? I couldn't make that up. Funny. I could not make that up.
Well, and look, here's the thing. It's not like I don't like coffee. I enjoy coffee every once in a while. But at the end of the day, people have to understand caffeine has a half-life of between 6 and 8 hours. So I'll tell you, I just got back from Belgium where I was giving a lecture, and I was actually one of the gentlemen who I met with beforehand owns a coffee roasting company, right? And he said to me,
"What is it with you attracting these coffee people?"
Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable.
Go ahead. I can't.
So I'm talking with him, and I said, help me understand, how much coffee do you drink in a day? And he said, well, we are a roaster, so we have to, we're taste testing it all the time. We're doing this. I said, give me a number. And he said, I don't know, maybe 7-8 cups a day.
Wow.
Okay? So I said, wow. I said, are we talking like 4-ounce cups, or are we talking like 12-ounce cups? And he's like, oh no, the big ones. Right? I'm like, okay.
Whoa.
So if you do the math on this, caffeine has a half-life of 8 hours. So if he stopped drinking caffeine by 2 p.m., 8 hours later, 50% of the caffeine would be out of his system, which means he would still have roughly 4 cups of coffee in that his body would think that he just drank as he's going to bed, right? So it's about volume, but it's also about timing. When you drink your coffee, when you stop your coffee, and how much coffee you have, that's a formula that you have to really think about. So what I tell people is limit yourself to 2 cups a day, finish by 2 p.m., and you should be just fine.
Awesome. Michael, this has been a lot of fun having you on the show today, and really enjoyed learning more about your work as a sleep doctor and at The Sleep Doctor. That being said, you mentioned the website once. I want you to leave it again, and also let my audience know how they can follow up, how they can digest the content, and how they can learn more.
So here's the best way to find me is www.thesleepdoctor.com/Dr. Mike. Just DRMIKE.
Wonderful. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put the links in the show notes so you can just click on them and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Michael, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Wishing everybody out there sweet dreams.